Hi everyone, welcome to another video on Pandas Series. So in this video, we are aiming to capture how to use apply function, apply map, map functions, which are basically the different functions supported by the Pandas library to update the rows or columns or even individual elements from your Pandas data frame. So in our previous video, we learned how to use filtering to extract specific information from your data frame, and we have covered that using conditionals, using logical operators, comparison operators, and using log or iloc methods. Now, before we go on, I've already prepared a sample data frame here, which is of where the keys are cars, founders, and country. And let me run that for you. So we have we have a data frame where we have the cars as a column, founders and a country as a three. So basically, it's a 3x3 the array you can see, and which has been converted into a pandas data frame. Now, the first thing we are going to learn is what if we want to rename the columns of your data frame. So in order to do that, you have to just type in df.columns, and you have to pass in all the column names that you are aiming to convert it to. So let's say I want to change the cars from car to car name, and if I want to change from founder to owner, and from country to location. And then if I run that and if I see, then basically all of the columns are already changed to car name, owner, and location. Now this method is useful when you want to change all of the columns all at once. But what if you want to change only a specific column? Then you can do that as well. So that you can try out with list comprehension. I'm not sure if you are aware of the list comprehension, but it's a pretty handy tool in Python environment. So let's say I want to convert all of the column names, but I want to change it to, let's say, in a lowercase. So what you can do is x dot lower for x in df dot columns. So now if I run again, we can see that all of the column names are basically changed. Now if I want to if I want to rename only a specific column, then there is another function that is supported by the pandas, and that is df.rename. So what you need to do is you have to pass in the dictionary where the specific column names that you want to change. So let's say I want to change the car name to back to cars. Oops. And I want to change owner back to let's say founder. So if I run this, then I can see that basically there's no change in the column names, and that is because you have not specified the access, because by default the df.rename function takes the access as rows. So you need to specify the access, which will be going to be columns, and there you have. So we have car name back to um, cars. Oops. Okay, it did not match because in the original data frame I have the car name in lowercase, where I have given the name as a capital case. So I need to change that. And if I look at, so basically car name is now converted back to cars, and owner is converted back to founder. But one thing, if you run, if one thing you need to see here is that if I run the df function, if I print out basically the data frame, there's no change in the column names, and that is because the df.rename returns a view. It returns a copy of your data frame, and there's no change that is reflected to your original one. So you need to either reassign back to the df.columns, or you can also do that. Instead that there's another parameter that is supported by rename function, that is true. So in place true basically converts the data frame back to the into the same view, and then returns it, and there's basically no change, and that change is basically reflected back to the data frame, and you need not reassign that. So if I run this and if I view this, and then basically it has already changed the car name back to cars and owner name back to founder. So this was about changing the column names, either all of it or multiple of it at a time. Now we'll go back and we'll see how we can change the updates, how we can make the updates in rows. So we have df. So now previously we used to get data using log and iloc methods. We will be using the same methods to be applied when we are going to update any row in particular in your data frame. So let's see if I want to change the first row, which is the row at index 1, and if I want to change that row to something else. So let's say df.log0, and I want to change from Toyota to, let's say, Benz, and from founder to, let's say, I don't know, Merkel, and from country to, let's say, Germany. So if I run this, then basically, oops, I think I made index at set as 1. So anyway, it will change basically the zero throw, which is Tesla, Elon Musk, and US. It will change to Benz, Merkel, and Germany. So if I run this, and if I see the output, it has already changed the zero throws car name from Tesla to Benz, from Elon Musk to Merkel, from USA to Germany. Now, this was one of the way in order to update entire row by passing the list of the values for each of the columns, because what essentially df.log provides you, it's a series where each of the column names are there, along with the values is equal to the value that is present for that column in the row, in that specific row. So this is what the output looks like when you try to update one row at a time. You can also do, let's say, if you want to update only a specific column out of for a given row. Let's say we go back to our data frame, and we want to change, let's say, only the founder from Merkel back to, let's say, Elon Musk. So you can do that as well, but now you have to provide df dot location, comma, and you have to provide the specific column that you want to change, and you have to provide the value for that. Let's say I want to change it to Elon Musk. Now if you run this, and if you print out the data frame, it has basically changed back to Elon Musk now. So this way you can target out specific columns for a specific row that you want to update, and you have to pass in the specific values that you want to update. And but now one more thing to remember here is that if you are going to select only one column, then you can directly pass them as a string. If you are going to have multiple columns, then you need to pass them in the form of a list. So that's one thing to remember. So we have covered rows. Now we'll go back to change one. There's one another thing that I wanted to highlight over here is, so let's say if you are going to use a filtering. So let's say filter or our condition, and on our condition I want to select all the rows which are of location Germany. So let's say df dot location equal Japan. So let's say I have this condition, and based on this condition I want to update condition. So let's see first what it gives us. So based on this condition, we can see that it gives us two rows, the first and second row, where the location is basically Japan. Now let's say you want to change for this data output, and you want to change the location from Japan to, let's say, China. Then what it will throw you is that it will throw you a setting with copy warning error. Now this error is where is trying to say is that df.condition and location, it basically is a view, and basically is a copy of original data frame that is being returned after performing conditions and then subsetting for the location column. And if when you try to update that with another variable, so that change will not going to be reflected back to the original data frame. And that is the reason it says that in order to achieve this operation, you have to use the .log method. So if I run again, go back to this method, and instead of choosing the column like this, if I pass in the df.log, and if I pass the location column, and then if I change it back to China, then you can see there's no error. And if I print out the output of data frame, it has already changed the location from Japan to China. So this is one key error that one must remember, that is while setting the columns, while setting the values for a specific rows and for a specific column, you need to filter out the conditions by using .log method or .ilog method, whatever that you are preferring. Now there are four different methods that are usually provided by the Pandas library in order to make changes either to entire data frame or to a series all at once. Now we'll go through all those four functions. We'll start with the apply method. So what apply does is it basically tries to run that specific function onto a data frame or onto a series based on whatever on which part of the data frame this apply method is being run into. So let's say you have a data frame. Let's say you have data frame cars as a column. If you print out, it has Benz, Toyota, and Honda, and you want to apply the len method on top of it. So what it returns is basically the number of characters that are present in each of the rows in the cars column. So we have Benz as which containing a four characters, so it returns 4. Toyota has 6 characters, Honda has 5 characters. So basically the len function is being applied to each of the individual element in that car series. And likewise, if you are going to apply the apply function onto the data frame but not on just a specific series, then you can do that as well. So let's look at what it returns if you apply on all of the data frame all at once. So if you have passed the len function and you have given input as an entire data frame, and it has returned cars as 3, founder as 3, location as 3. Now what essentially it does is basically it tries to apply this len function on the entire data frame all at once. So we have cars in the cars column, the number of rows that are present in the cars column, that is 3. That's what it returns. In the founder column, the number of rows that is present, so that's basically it is returning. Now if you want to apply this len function on the each of the rows, then you can pass using access method as columns, because rows is by default. Then it returns for zero indexed rows, it returns the number as 3, which is basically the number of entities present in the row at index 0. So it has Benz, Elon Musk, and Germany, so it has returns 3. Similarly, for the first row it has returned 3 because there are 3 elements that are present in that row. So this is one method. This is one way of using apply method either on a series or on the entire data frame. Now if I want to there's another function that you can apply, which is df.applymap. So what this function does is basically it tries to run the whatever function that you are passing inside it. It basically tries to run that function onto the entire element of each individual element of the entire data frame. So in this data frame I have individual elements as either all of the individual elements as string characters. Now if I pass df.applymap len, so what essentially it does is basically it tries to count the number of characters that are present in each of the entities in the data frame. So in the first in the cars column and 0th row, we have Benz as the entity, and when len function is applied on Benz, that returns as 4 as the characters. So let's say if I want to apply another method on df.applymap, let's say I want to convert them to str.lua. Now one more thing you need to remember is you will, if you are calling a specific function, you should not be executing that function over here. Instead you should try to remove the parenthesis as possible. Now if you run that, it's basically it has converted all of the entities that are present in the data frame in a lowercase. So if you can see, the Benz earlier was in capital case and now it's in smaller case, and likewise all of the other entities that are present in the data frame. So this way apply map function can be used. And if you have multiple kinds of data, let's say here we have only the string characters in the entire data frame. Let's say if you also have boolean characters or numerical characters, then you need to properly adjust your function that you are passing into apply map function. Now there's another function that is being supported by the pandas library, which is df.map. The map function basically tries to replace or tries to um, replace all of the entities that is present in the entire series with whatever value that you have provided. So takes a key key colon value as an input, and it runs on just one specific series at a time. So let's say if I want to change df.cars and I want to apply the map function. So what it will does is I need to pass in, it will basically iterate on all of the rows present in the cars column, and it will try to update whatever values that are present in the cars column with whatever values that are matched in this given dictionary with the values that you have provided in that dictionary. So let's say I want to change Benz with let's say Audi, and if I want to, let's say Toyota with, let's say Ford. So if you do that and if you run this, it basically has given us it has replaced Benz with Audi, it has replaced Toyota with Ford, but there is a nan for Honda, and that's the reason because map function tries to replace all of the entire series with all of the values, with all the keys that are present, matched keys that are present in the dictionary, and whatever key that is not mentioned in the dictionary, for that it replaces the value with nan. Now if you look at now if you want to preserve the values and if you want to basically replace only certain keys with their corresponding values, then you can pass in the replace method instead. So what it will do is basically it will look through the entire series, and it will only change the matched variables, which is Benz and Toyota with the Audi and Ford. Now if you run this, it basically has changed Benz to Audi and Toyota to Ford, but it has maintained the Honda back to Honda. Now it has returned the series, and it has not made any changes to the original data frame. So in order to make the change, either you can reassign it back to the original data frame, or you can also use in place method, in place equals true. So this will basically replace the value of data frame where the 0th row is Audi, first row is Ford now, and second is Honda. So this way you can try out multiple operations on the entire data frame or in series. Remember, with map you can only change only make changes on a series, but with apply map you can make the changes back to the entire data frame, and uh, with apply function you can make the changes either to a series or to a data frame, depending on what input that you are passing before dot notation, before the dot operator. So these are the ways that you can apply. Now if you look at the real world application, I've already pulled the data from my previous exercise of filtering videos, and in this video I'm going to use the same data, and now we have content rating as one of the columns in our movies data frame. And let's look at what exactly are present in the content rating column. Content rating dot value counts. So this will tell us, okay, it's value counts. So it will tell us what are the different categories that are present in the content rating column. And let's say if you want to update R to, let's say movies dot content rating dot replace and replace to, let's say R to, oops, R to let's say not safe. So it will basically try to replace all of the values that are present, all of the rows that contains R as a content rating, and it will change it to not safe. And we can do that in place equals true. So this will replace all of the things. Now if you look at the movies dot, if you run this again, then it should show you the not safe as a category which has 460 counts. So this is one of the way that you can make changes to entire data frame. So that's all for this video. We'll have more content in the next video, so keep watching. Thank you.